Hello, this is Repent MF. I'm submitting my AGDQ 2019 submission for Cave Story Plus, best ending normal mode on the Nintendo Switch. And I actually don't have the game in front of me because I already recorded my run a couple days ago, but I didn't have my mic with me. So I'm going to go over it and dub it right now just for you. So here's the footage. Cave Story Plus on the Nintendo Switch doesn't really have that big of a following right now. There's a co-op option, which is really cool, and I wanted to do that, but I'm going to do single player this year instead. Alright, so the big addition for Cave Story Plus is strafing and cutscene skips. And cutscene skips are actually pretty automatic. All you have to do is hit X during any dialogue box or really anything that the game considers a cutscene, which is generally dialogue boxes. Room transitions you can't really skip unless it was preceded by a dialogue box that you skipped. So I'm just moving around right now through the first cave. I just got the Polar Star, and I'm going to try to get some EXP, just a little bit, so when I damage tank later on at the end of this cave, I won't lose all of it, but I didn't get enough. Kill the door, and we actually just damage tank so we can stand right in the doorway. If you've played Cave Story before, or even Cave Story Plus on the PC before they added cutscene skips, you'll notice that this is noticeably faster than having to just mash through all of the boxes. I think they might have changed the physics formula for Quote's jump, so he might be a little bit more floaty now, I think is what's wrong. So he doesn't really go as far horizontally, or maybe he's I think it's actually he's heavier, so he doesn't stay in the air as long. So we just said no to our first fight because that'll waste time, and he's an optional fight anyway. So we are on our way to get Arthur's key so we can enter his house and go to our first real area of the game. Toriko, one of the Mamiga of the village, just got kidnapped. So we are going to go find her best friend Sue, who she was mistakenly kidnapped for. There's Arthur's key. And 3 health. It's actually not that bad for this part. Oh, I'm also going to get the map right now. The map we will use later for what's called Jelly Skip. That was in normal Cave Story. It's really interesting. Some of the dialogue boxes are actually just faster to mash through than the cutscene skip, and it's all about just going through every dialogue box in the game and finding out which trees are faster. So if you see right here, I'm strafing back and forth just because that's faster, because you can keep shooting while looking in the same direction but moving in a different one. And we don't really have the good luxury of using a keyboard, I don't think. You might be able to use keyboard on Switch, but I don't think I've seen it. And mashing with a controller is pretty difficult in my opinion. Right here I'm going to take a damage boost so I can get to this health. And then I think I get hit again. Yeah, so an important thing to note that'll come in use, it'll be handy later for when we do Jelly Skip. When you enter a cutscene or pause and hit the map and then back out, you will be able to take damage again. If a hitbox is right next to you, I mean. So that thing at the bottom, that white dragon looking thing, is named Basil, and he will do 127 or 128 damage to you if he hits you. So it is guaranteed one hit kill. We have our level 3 Polar Star, which we got all the experience for on the way here, and we're going to fight Igor. In the PC version, this fight actually goes even faster than what you're seeing on screen right now, because mashing with a keyboard, like I said, is much faster. But strafing still makes it a little bit easier than it would be normally for console. And we're gonna wake up Sue, we say yes, save a little bit of frames. The text boxes scroll so fast now that it's only about less than a half-second difference anyway. But if you were trying to go for the world record, it would matter. And we're gonna make our way out of the egg corridor. Let's see. These bugs, if you slow down at all, they will catch up to you, and they only hit for 2 each, but considering they are a mob, it could add up very quickly. And we're gonna hope for some heart drops here. That way, we don't have to go into bushlands with no health, because bushlands will eat you alive if you have low health. Alright, we're gonna go talk to Sue, because she has been caged by King, the #1 of the village. Just some more platforming right here. The jumps are a little bit tight in that little corridor, but you can just fall down right here. Now, some of the other changes that they made are primarily cosmetics, but I'm interested to see if playing Cave Story Classic graphics changes any of the hitboxes or hurtboxes for the Cave Story Plus engine. I doubt that it would, but it's something that I've been thinking about. So we got Santa's key for him, and we're gonna give it back to him, or we gave it back to him, and he's rewarding us with the fireball, which is the best DPS that we have in the game thus far. And we're just gonna try to level it up a little bit here. That's why you saw me stutter step. And this entire area is one big back and forth. It's almost like a fetch quest in an RPG. So we're gonna go over here and we're gonna look at the fireplace, and Choco tells us that we can get over there maybe if we use some jelly. We get jelly from the big jelly. So we're gonna get big jelly in a couple of seconds. First we're gonna get a health upgrade. Getting beat up a little bit, but here's some platforming. You get the health upgrade, and then you're meant to just stand on that middle platform and kill the big jelly. Smashing's pretty important for that part. I remember this now. During this entire run, I, for the life of me, could not get opening chests or opening doors right the first time. And then we'll pour the jelly juice onto the fire and get the charcoal, and we're using these items that we're collecting right now for a bomb that we're going to make later to bust out one of the main characters from a locked room. Now right here you can actually ride one of the green flying enemies' heads to get to the big jelly faster, but it's kind of hard using the Nintendo Switch Joy-Cons. I should probably switch to the Pro Controller, honestly. So I have level 3 on both Polar Star as well as the Fireball now, and that's somewhat important for Jelly Skip. That way we won't have to build up our levels too much later. So we're going to jump into the bat, change to the Fireball, hit the map, reset ourselves, and take damage twice. And that stops us from having to get the big jelly a third time. So now we're gonna go talk to Kazuma, the character I was referring to earlier, who is stuck in the locked room. He's gonna give us a key, and it doesn't actually work on the door. It's actually for the power grid room. So we're gonna go in there and fight Balrog, which is a pretty cool fight. And we're actually gonna get health here, because otherwise I am going to die. And that's a pretty quick time loss. It's not too bad, but for a marathon, it's very worth it. Alright, so we activate this robot, and Balrog just sits on him. And for this fight, you just stand on top of him and spam your fireball. And the fight is over very quickly, because level 3 fireball is our most valuable DPS weapon up to this point. We'll talk to the robot. The robot will tell us that he can make a bomb for us that will blow up the locked door. And I think I try to go for missiles here, and then I miss the platforming jump. So we talk to Kazuma, tell him about the bomb, and he gives us the gum key because we need an item called gum base. And right here I tried to set up for the bats to come follow me so you could damage tank and reach that higher up platform that's above me right now. But going for the missiles I think messed that up. So we just do the normal way, and it's only a couple seconds slower. Unlock the door, and here we have our second encounter with Balrog, but he turns into a frog. So for this fight, you're going to tank on the small frogs, and it only will do 1 damage, and then you just spam fireball into his mouth. It's a little bit RNG dependent, and I probably could have gotten that one frog that appeared to the left of him, but it would have been very tight timing. This was unfortunate. I think I lost time. Oh no, that's right. You can 3-cycle him, but it's really hard, but I don't know why that worked. I was in the air for so long, I thought for sure he was gonna close his mouth. We'll grab some hearts, just for some safety. And we're gonna go make the bomb. Oh, that's right. We're gonna get missiles, because I didn't get them last time. Now, missiles are the only weapon thus far that have ammo to them. Fireball can only have 2 to 4, depending on what level it is, 2 to 4 fireballs out at a time, but because of the way that enemy interaction works with your weapons, you can have as many out at a time as you want, so long as you're hitting the enemy. So now we rescued Kazuma, and he escapes back to Mimiga Village with Dr. Booster. Don't think that's actually his name. I think... Is it Dr. Booster? Professor Booster? Something? Pretty sure it's Booster. Because then he gives us the booster later on, which is one of the most important platforming tools in the game. So we're just making our way back to the beginning of Bushlands. We don't really want to try to take too much damage here, but we're also not in that much of a threat. The biggest threat are jellies and the blue flying enemies, because if the blue flying enemies sit on you, it's 12 damage. We'll talk to Sue, and then the professor tells us the doctor has found the location of the red flowers, which will pretty much end the Mimiga race. So we're gonna go stop him. We're gonna go find the flowers first. And the character we just saw was named Curly Brace, and she's our partner in crime, but we just don't know it yet. There's some platforming here, and it's really just some small jumps. You can damage boost over to that second from the left block, but it's pretty precise, and losing it will cost you like 10 seconds. If you fall all the way back down to the bottom. So the fight with Curly, you just spam her with Fireball and ricochet the fireballs off the wall. She asks you if you're going to destroy the Amigas, and you tell her no. And so she gives you her machine gun for being nice. And now this is Jenka's first dog. Jenka is Misery and Balrog's aunt, I think that's right. So here we're gonna grab some XP from these sun rocks. We're gonna want to get our level 3 machine gun as quickly as possible. But first we're gonna go get this health upgrade. So now we're at 20 health. And these sections actually are marked by those skull and bones, and those crocodiles will come up and eat you if you're not fast enough. I think they're 10 damage. Something significant. It will take away experience from your machine gun. And we're on our way to fight Omega, which is one of the gatekeepers of the Sand Zone. Has the Sun Curse, I believe, on some of the rocks guarding Jenka's house. I'm just getting more experience here from these sun rocks for our machine gun. And I heal there for good measure because we're at full health. And we're just going to use Fireball and really obliterate Omega. Omega seems very intimidating, but he just kind of stands there and takes all your damage. And we're going to end on the left side of him, I think, and that'll be closer to the door so we can walk out faster. So on the way back, we're going to want to get the level 3 machine gun. That way we can use it as a movement tool. Kind of works like a jetpack almost. The booster I was describing earlier is a literal jetpack, but this one will work a little bit differently. It's more like a propulsion-based thing. So you shoot down and it'll push you upwards. And if you're falling and you shoot up, then as you can see, it'll push you down faster. It'll make you reach your maximum acceleration, or maximum velocity faster. That's what I mean. I lost it there, but quickly got it back. Having some flubs on counting our ammo, because that actually does matter. If you run out of ammo, you just can't jetpack anymore. We got our second dog. We can actually stack dogs in this game. That's right, that's the other change. It's adorable. So you can stack all of Jenka's dogs, and it makes Sand Zone so much more bearable. You don't have to treat it like a fetch quest mission anymore. You can just get them all at once in one go, and then go to her house and deliver them. And I believe the position of one of them was changed. One of them used to be by the house, the warehouse over on the right-hand side of Sand Zone stage, but instead it's the one that we just picked up. So that one got moved, and I think it's just for the sake of, I think it's the player's sake, like easiness. I think they just tried to streamline everything, which I really appreciate from a casual's perspective and a speedrun perspective. So we're at full max machine gun now, and I'm having a bit of trouble getting out. I don't want to be hit by the skeletons. Right here we're going to go up into the dark room, get our fourth dog. Alright, so this map is pretty easy to remember. You can actually make that faster by boosting up with the machine gun. Alright, and our final dog is sitting right next to Spooky Skeleton. And we'll just grab him, and we'll make our way over to Jenka's house. So the next boss fight coming up is with Toriko, the Mimiga that got kidnapped from the beginning of the game, and she's been fed the red flower, or is going to be fed the red flower, and that makes her a formidable enemy. You can swap back and forth between the fireball and the machine gun. I'm pretty sure I die at least once, only using the fireball, and then I decide to use the machine gun. I die pretty much in every stage of this run, but every single time I do the second try, I come back with a clear mind and better strats, because I just remember, hey, how about we do it the right way? We're just gonna fly over all of these enemies and make our way all the way to the right hand side of Sand Zone. Something to note when you're flying with a machine gun, you can conserve your ammo and still get a pretty decent height just by tapping it instead of holding the button down. And then the other thing to mention is if you're holding down the jump button while you're boostering, that was interesting. I don't know what's happening there. If you're holding down the button while you're boosting with the machine gun, the jump button, then you'll go higher faster. Otherwise, you're going to ascend quite slowly. Alright, so this is Rabid Toriko, and she throws 10 damage rocks at you, and the rocks spawn 1 damage flowers. 1 damage, like 1 HP flowers, I'm pretty sure. So you really want to avoid the rocks, but if you tank off of the flowers, you can really just never get hit by her. We unfortunately jump at the wrong time, lose our level 3 fireball, and that will basically end our fight against her. Not too bad, because that only wasted about 20 seconds, plus the trip back, so I guess about 25, maybe 30. So we're back, clear mind, fresh conscience, and we're going to use the machine gun completely. Usually I don't use the machine gun solo here just because I'm afraid of losing level 3. Losing level 3 machine gun any time during the run is very, very bad, because until you get the booster 2.0, you really don't have any quick way to navigate the later areas of the game. So at the last second there, I was gonna get hit, and I switched off of the machine gun and went to fireball. And you'll see really good players do that all the time. In Labyrinth M and Labyrinth W, if they're about to get hit, they just switch over to something that doesn't really have any experience meaning to them. That way they can conserve their XP on the things that do matter, like the level 3 machine gun, level 2 blade, or the level 3 rocket launcher. Level 3 super rocket launcher or missile launcher, whatever you like to call it. Alright, we get another health upgrade, and we're just gonna save again. Near the later end of the run, the later half, I start to save a lot more, just for marathon safety. And this is the start of Labyrinth M. So the blade that we got from King, who is now dead by the way, I forgot to mention that, sorry, rip, does 15 damage. So it's now, this is our strongest DPS in the entire game, thus far. It's very cheap to use, very effective. And that's okay that we lost level 3 right there, because we'll just get it back in a second. So we talked to the doctor, we talked to Curly. Curly suffered a serious injury, so we're gonna go get her a cure-all from the medicine lab. It's like a warehouse or something, I think. and we're gonna fight a ghost-looking enemy, a mini-boss, that looks eerily similar to Balrog, but its name is Pooplack. And we're gonna be using the blade against him. Like I said, that's our highest DPS weapon up to this point. And I think we 2-cycle him. So we're just gonna tank damage, I think, and head straight for the door. Yep, it's a good fight. You might be able to 1-cycle that, but I think he jumps up too fast, so maybe not. I think if you mash fast enough, then it's fine. Alright, so we give the doctor the cure-all. We talk to Curly, and she says it's the legendary Labyrinth. We might not be able to get out. Oh, this is Labyrinth W, not Labyrinth M. Labyrinth M is after this. And now we're on our way to the second to last boss of Labyrinth W, which is Monster X. For this fight, there are 4 core reactors on the boss, and you want to take those out first. And you just do blade, just like you would think up to this point. And there's a specific corner you can stand on the wheels to get faster mashing, but I didn't know that at the time of this run. So you might be able to 1-cycle that, but it's very tight. You can get 3 out of 4 pretty easily, 3 out of 4 of the reactors gone, but usually a 2-cycle is what I'd say most players are going to get out of that. And now the reactors are gone, so you're just going to be doing 240 up to 285 damage, I think. The main thing about this fight is you really don't want to get hit by the snakes or the wheels. The wheels do 10 damage and the snake missiles do 5. So that's like a 1/6 or a 1/3 of your health. So you really don't want that. Now we enter this corridor and Professor Booster falls down. And we're just going to leave him for death, because if we go talk to him, he'll never finish the Booster 2.0. He'll only have the first booster, a beta version, and we'll never be able to get the true ending of the game. So here Balrog says that he'll help us get out of the cavern, after we beat him up, of course. And like I said, strafing makes a lot of the fights for console easier, but in PC you would just be mashing and walking backwards anyway, or walking forwards with Balrog behind you, because the blade's hitbox actually starts from behind Quote's head. So I think I died pretty early here too. Labyrinth W, Labyrinth M is not really a joke. It will kill you. It does not care about your feelings. It's probably the most annoying part of the run, honestly, just because that happens, and you really have to watch your XP, or otherwise you just won't have any maneuverability, and you lose a lot of time. So we get our level 3 machine gun back, but we're already at too low of health. This is already pretty much over. So we go back at it. Fresh mind, clear conscience. Old song and dance. And that's a good health drop. I don't think I've ever had that one drop twice in a row in a run. So that damage I took probably wasn't a great idea. I get rid of this guy just because the hits from those enemies ricochet, and it can be very, very troublesome, even when you're past that barrier, that wall right there, near the purple enemies. So we're going to take these guys out, just so we don't have to really fly over them. Not over all of them, I mean. And here, we just push ourselves through that air duct. And I think I collect some health here. Open all these eggs. Curly pushes on ahead. Starts fighting the blue horde enemies. I'm not really sure what to call them. I don't know the names of all the enemies of the game. So we're, like most of the enemies in this area, we're going to take it nice and slow and actually kill them. That way they don't send, like that one blue and orange enemy is straggling towards us now. And the only reason we didn't get hit by it is because of Curly. So this is going a lot better than before, but we've lost our level 3. We really need that back, so we're gonna have to grind a little bit. I don't think I go for that experience. Oh, that one was right there. So we're just gonna kill some of these guys, hope for a bunch of experience. I think we get really good drops here actually, which is not very notorious for this level, for this area even. These white enemies honestly hate the player. So coming up is a sequence, I think known as like the wet cave or something to that effect. It's a robot battleground with the heart of the island called the core, and the fight requires a mix of blade and machine gun level 3. So I save here. You can't really die until you go fight the core, so I think that save was actually pretty unnecessary. We shoot 2 missiles because there's a hitch in that barrier. So this is all just set up. And the lift goes down, and we're gonna go open the final barrier gate. And I think I saved one last time here. Excuse me. This is where you're supposed to save, because if you die here in a marathon, the run's over, or you lose a million times. So any save before a boss fight is just a good idea for AGDQ. Because with a fight like this, there's so much variability that can happen. Like that, I already lost level 3 machine gun. And this fight's pretty much over. I think I drown here. Because we do not have the level 3 machine gun where the water rises, and if you're not in a safe spot, then you won't be able to get out of the water in time because your jump doesn't go high enough, and you can't just fly to the top like normal. So yeah, I drown here. Clear conscience, clear mind, do it again, we nail it. I think one of my favorite parts of Cave Story Plus is how much freedom you have with how the game looks and sounds. So this is the remastered soundtrack and the remastered graphics for Cave Story Plus. But you can have Family Track, which is just like an old 8-bit sounding version of the soundtrack. You can have the original soundtrack. I think there's, maybe that's what the Famitunes or the Famitrack is Pixel's own music engine that he created. What a master. We're doing really well right here. It was unfortunate I couldn't kill the core before the super attack. Those are 20 damage each? Maybe only 10. But getting hit by them is not a good idea, is the point. And that's the fight. So this is where the paths usually split. So we're gonna grab a tow rope, and the water reaches the top, and Curly knows that this is going to happen. So being the smart, lovable partner that she is, she covers us with her bubble and gives us the ability to breathe underwater. And we need to repay her, so we bring her along using a tow rope, and we tow her to our back. Tie her to our back. So we're gonna find a way to revive her, or at least make her conscious again. There will be a little outhouse coming up in the section called Waterway. There's actually a skip that got removed from Cave Story Plus. I think it was a frame perfect trick that exists in Cave Story Classic, where this little part right here, this stream of water that's pushing upwards, you could alternate between pause and using the machine gun and just force your way through the bottom. Alright. So for this part, we are just making our way through the water. This is actually probably one of the more linear parts of the run, I would say. Everything after this is kind of open in the air to what you want to do in what order, but I'd say most runners do it in the same order. So all of these currents push different ways, and depending on your control stick position, it'll take you into different currents. So we lay Curly down, and we read on the screen that there is a book available on how to surface flooded robots. She wakes up, and the game tries to trick us, and we take her with us because we're smarter than the game. Switch to Blade, and there's actually a cameo from another villain from another Pixel game, the game Ika-chan. The boss is Ironhead, and we use Blade on him. Not incredibly difficult. We want to one cycle him for sure though, so when he comes back to the left side of the screen, we want his HP bar to be depleted so we don't have to waste another cycle. So that was a good fight, and Curly drifts away from us. So now we're back in Amiga Village, everything ties up, everything ties together. Very brilliant writing. And when we re-enter Arthur's house, we see Professor Booster. He's finished Booster 2.0, and he's going to give it to us as a kind of parting gift. And this is one of the best movement, if not the best movement option in the game. So now we're going to go to the egg corridor and climb the outer wall. This section can be kind of mean, and you just saw me do what's called the machine boost. So if you use the booster 2.0 and reach a platform after a horizontal boost and then you jump immediately, you conserve all of your momentum from the boost. And then if you use your machine gun, you can continue having that momentum. So it's like having a booster all the time. So you see how much slower the machine gun is just by itself. But when you add it with the booster and machine boosting, it can be quite fast. Quite quite certain I die here too. I just take too much damage. There's almost no chance of me getting my machine gun level 3 back. Yeah. We bonk a couple of times. We're stubborn though, we have the drive in us. We believe that we can make it to the end, and that's just not the case. So, go back at it again. Better, stronger. Get the machine boost, first try just like last time. I don't know what happened there. I like it though. It was even faster. It looked like it almost stacked. The momentum stacked. And we lose the machine gun again, but we get it back pretty quickly, so it's not a big deal. Getting hit by the small things isn't really a huge deal, just consistently getting hit by anything is gonna hurt us. But so long as we're close to level 3, we'll be fine. So I missed that machine boost. I think I got a baby one there, but we lose it anyway because of the dragons. So we have to grind a little bit to get back our level 3. We're just trying to gauge the situation, make sure that we don't get hit by a dragon's attack. And we're back. I think we're gonna save again. Just because we're about to reach the outer wall, which is a pretty crucial section. It's not incredibly difficult, but you want to get your timing for your machine gun correctly, like the stutter bullets. You make sure you're holding the jump button while you're doing this. That way you ascend faster, like I said. I think we need to reach a certain point. I don't think you can get all the way up there with one go. Lots of bonks. Repent bonk. And we're just gonna let our machine gun refill a little bit. Yeah, we're pretty close to the top anyway. And there it is. We meet Professor Ido, but we'll get back to him later. He's a human turned Mamiga, just like Sue. So right now, we are in the Mamiga village phase, so we're gonna find a teleporter that takes us back to Arthur's house in Mamiga village. Because Curly, remember she got separated from us, she lost her memory. So we're gonna go get her a remedy for it. And that is going to regain her memory. She's gonna give us what's called the Iron Bond, and that'll set up for the end of the game. So that's our fisherman friend from Amiga Village. And we're gonna go talk to him, and he gives us a key that he found in the ocean for the teleporter room. Right here you can do a machine boost coming back from Curly's little hideout. But I don't do it. I think about it there, I even contemplate it there. It's just the ridges are so difficult to work with that it might almost even end up hurting you rather than helping you. So there it is, the teleporter key. And we get hit by this big guy. So this is the very large Mamiga from the village. he tells us that Sue has also been captured, but she gave us a letter before she was taken away. We'll read that later though. So now we're going to use that teleporter that we just found to go get Curly's remedy, like I said. I think I get hit here. Yes, that is unfortunate. Have to get a little bit of XP again. Using the booster underwater is incredibly inefficient, so we definitely want to make sure we don't die to those spikes. That's why we don't go for that. We don't even mess with that. That's the 127 damage, similar to Basil in Egg Corridor. So we use the teleporter, go back, and we go to fight Ma Pignon, which is a mushroom, the mother mushroom. She's the remedy that Curly needs. We use level 3 machine gun on her, and it's really just about following her patterns and making sure her duplicates don't hit us. But first we have to go through in a very annoying dialogue tree. She tries to trick us, and we read Sue's letter here just because it saves time on opening the menu more than one time, which I proceed to open and close the menu twice anyway. So now we're gonna go save, because that fight can definitely kill you. This definitely takes a little bit more time than it should, just because there's not a save point really close to Ma Pignon's boss area. So we confront her and say, the mushroom badge isn't what we're looking for, we're looking for you. And she says she's not going to go down without a fight. I lose level 3 here, but it's not a big deal, as long as we keep shooting and don't get hit. Because all of her dash attacks are 10 damage, and that will certainly hurt your EXP. So, like I said earlier, way earlier in the run, we lost our level 3 machine gun, and at this part of the game it's crucial that we have it, because moving around in the plantation, the final area where we just were, is nearly impossible to move fast without the booster. So we need the machine gun level 3 to help us move faster, which we don't have. So we'll just do this again. Just farm a couple of enemies. But first we're going to give Curly her remedy, help her regain her memories. And she tells us that she remembers everything about the war, about how we were partners, about how everything is ruined basically. And we also talked to her a second time because we're a good partner and she's a good partner, and she thanks us for asking how she is. I'm pretty sure in the original version, or at least in the other Cave Story Plus version, you have to talk to her twice to get the Iron Bond, and I think they streamlined it, and the second time you talk to her she just says thank you, which is adorable. That they care about each other, even if it's just platonic, and they just care about each other as friends. It's awesome. So this is Sue's mom. She tells us that we need to help build the rocket. So she takes away our booster 2.0 to research it and gives us this Momiga mask so we can blend in. This is why the machine gun is so important for this part, because just jumping, these jumps are not hard but not easy, and certainly not fast. So we tricked this person into thinking that we're going to fix this sprinkler, which is what Sue's mom asked us to go get. So we go get a working sprinkler and we're going to bring it to her. And then she's going to tell us to go talk to Professor Ido, which we saw earlier, the human turned Mumiga. And he's going to build a timer for her for the rocket ship. Yeah, movement here, like I said, just very important that you have the level 3 machine gun. So even if it takes a little bit of time afterwards to grind a little bit, it will certainly kill a PB run, but for marathon it's just even harder. You can see me going back and forth on whether or not I want to completely skip the cutscene or just mash through it, and that's because some of the later dialogue boxes in the game start to blend together. So the cave story prompt is actually, the password for cave story, the password for that door, is actually a lot faster to just mash through it. But it seems like something that would take so long that you would just cutscene skip it. Alright, so here we talk to one of Jenka's dogs who came to visit us, and he gives us a heart container. So we're essentially set for the end game. Still can't, like I said, chests, save points. Pretty sure I die once here too. All of these are supposed to be just run off the platform into booster, and I unfortunately don't get it those first few times. Actually, I might not die here, I don't remember. Because I'm back at 29 health. Oh, but I get hit there. We'll see. I don't quite remember. I know that I die in a lot of areas in this run. But every single time we come back stronger. Every single time we adapt, every single time we're like, ah, that's what we'll fix. Yeah, this is over. It's over. It's all over. I think we died a red over. Which is this boss. Usually you're supposed to damage tank off of the side barriers. Because hitting him, I don't remember how much hitting his body is, but his attacks do 6 damage. I think everything in the cave, in the last cave, does at least 6 damage. So those were fine. Those weren't that bad. Get more health. This is actually just probably one of the coolest levels in the game for movement. Hell is the other one, which is at the very end of the run, but a couple portions are so... Actually, really only one portion is RNG heavy, and it can just be very difficult to navigate, even for some of the best players. So we're going to tank off of this. And he's dead. The rest of the cave has some heavy presses at the end, and these red jumpers. Just boost her through this. And I think I use a missile. Nope, let me just go for it. So now we're on the balcony. This is actually way slower, but we're gonna go fill up on the missiles and get us to level 2 blade at the top here. This little secret place, secret cove. I guess it's not really a cove. It's way more of a balcony on the balcony. So after we do this, we're going to go save, and we're going to go fight the bosses. Which, this entire part of the game is a long string of bosses. So we have Misery, the Doctor, the Demon Crown Doctor, and or like the corrupted doctor, and then the undead core. I realize right here that I should have healed and then saved. That's a small time loss. Misery tells us that we're tenacious and says that she can't disobey the demon crown, so we have to fight. So you can tank Misery's hits by running into her body. Her body is actually only 1 damage if you hit her hitbox. All of her revenge attacks are 10 damage, I believe, or add up to 10 damage at the very least, and then the balls that surround her and the bats that she sends out are all 2 damage. 20 health's not a bad number to go out on. So same thing here, you want to tank damage on the doctor's, either the doctor's body or the red crystal, which is made up of red flowers, by the way. Probably preferably though you would get hit by the crystal since it's only 1 damage. And here you're supposed to blast him with missiles, but I was so low on health and he does so much damage with any of his hits that I just wanted him dead. So we strafe, play it safe, and hit him with level 1 blade. And that's the fight. Coming up is the undead core. We actually talked to Chaco, and all the Migas give us their hearts for saving them. Misery appears and tells us we can't blow up the island, threatens to kill Sue, and it turns out the doctor's not actually dead. He's become one with the red crystal and he takes over the heart of the island. So this fight is actually really interesting. If you kill Rabid Sue first, or Corrupted Sue, whatever you want to call her, then Misery starts shooting the snake missiles from the Monster X fight. If you kill Misery first though, you lose out on all of the drops that she gives you. She'll summon enemies that'll give you XP and health. There's a damage cap, I believe, on the skull face for the undead core. Damage cap of 60. And I'm not sure if on that smile there's a damage cap as well, but you just want to deal as much damage as you can while taking as few hits, because I think everything does a minimum of 4 damage. Maybe not. I think the bats and things that Misery summons are only 2 damage. But it's not terrible. If anything, you just want to tank off of the things that Misery summons. But ideally, you just don't want to get hit. Right here, we're just trying to avoid any attacks they might be throwing at us and wait for an opportunity to hit the undead core. And now we reach the damage cap where he starts doing his own revenge values or his own desperation attack, where each of those balls were 10 damage, I believe. So really it's just a race to the finish to see who can survive the other one's damage onslaught first. So you just fill him up with Blade, and then he dies. And now we are on to the hardest part, casually or speedrunning in the game. It's Hell, or the Bloodstained Sanctuary, as it is officially called. So the subplot that is actually the plot for the entire reason that the game is happening is that Misery forced Valos to make the demon crown. So I guess her uncle, I think, which is Jenka's brother, and he made the demon crown and he became mad with power. I think he might have been king. I don't remember that part, but basically he went mad with power and mad with magic energy because of the things that he was forced to do. I think he was forced to like kill some of his own family, and no, the king wanted him to make the crown or something, and then Misery forced him to do it. I think it's something to that effect. So he goes into a state of crazy rage, and I'm pretty sure he gets locked away here. And the only way to free Misery and Balrog and all the other people from the curse of the Demon Crown and end the cycle of hate and anger, like how the professor, or not the professor, the doctor came and took the crown. The only way to end it is to kill Balos. So that's what all of this is. I'm actually just trying to make some time and talk about the game, like the lore, because I died twice here. And right here we're just trying to level up our missiles though, because we need level 3 missiles for the final phase of Balos. Now you really do want to keep moving ideally here, but for newer players and really anyone, it's kind of crazy. So I think the highest damaging thing is 10 and the lowest damaging thing is 6. So they really hit hard here. It might be 3 because if you hit the cherubs, the angels, and I think they hit you for 3. But any attacks I think is a minimum of 6. So right there we even level up our right there and right here we're leveling up our rocket launcher. And this is the room I was talking about that was very RNG heavy. The cherubs appearing, the number of cherubs on screen isn't RNG, but where they appear I believe is. And all of the rocks are all RNG. The rocks can actually still hit you after they've touched the ground. All the rocks are 10 damage, all of these cherubs are 5 damage. So it's a very challenging room. The entire thing is obviously meant to be like this huge test of like what you've learned throughout the game and how much you can hone your skill. It's very thematic, it's actually very fun, I would have to say, is how to describe it. Because you actually do feel, I know that sounds awful, but you do feel like you're in hell. You can understand Balos' torment. Like I said, I'm getting into the lore side more. But what you want to do gameplay-wise here is try to manage the cherubs and not get hit by them too much while avoiding all of the rocks that you can. But if you're gonna get hit, you want to tank on the cherubs. They're conveniently placed, like the rest of the sanctuary is very well designed. There are all these little small places and nooks and crannies where you can stand that gives you just the right vantage point, but you have to look for them. So even like a casual player that makes it this far, I mean, anyone that makes it this far probably isn't a casual. However, if you make it this far, they want you to be able to pick up where those vantage points are. They won't just give them to you. If you stand in the wrong place, you'll eat just 10 damage. And as you move forward, there are these barriers that'll constantly open. So if you missed any cherubs that were flying around, you decided not to kill them, then they will actually just come after you from the right hand side of the screen, like those. You can tank off of those bottom 5 damage spikes and go all the way through and get an early shot on the bomb barrier. But I don't know if I thought I had enough health or if I was just trying to play it safe. So here I'm just going to kill all the cherubs. Because even at 27 health, you can lose so much so fast. So here we get a rocket upgrade of 27 or something like that? Something very big. 24, excuse me. So now we have 34 missiles. And the final phase of Balos is just loading him up with rocket launchers. With rockets. This is the heavy press. its lightning does 10 damage, the cherubs do 5, and I don't know how much the rollers do, but you don't want to get hit by anything except for the cherubs, really. If you just stand in the middle and pump it full of the Nemesis. I didn't even talk about that. Curly has this weapon called the Nemesis, which is an item, a weapon that you can get from a side quest, if you so choose. But even if you don't, when you come here, she'll have it. And now that's our highest DPS for the game. That's a fun little strat. Just boosting to the door. This is Balos' dog. He asks us to kill his master. He asked kindly, I might add. And this is Balos. This is the final fight of the game. You can manipulate him here pretty well. He'll just circle around you, and you can get some decent damage in. And at the very end, you always want to make sure to dodge the bones, because even that is 4 damage. His hit, if you hit his hurt box, it's 3. But if he hits you while he's dashing, I'm pretty sure it's 10. Those lightning strikes are 10. And that's phase 1. I don't know why I went that high, I didn't need to. Alright, so next is this giant, strange potato looking Balos. It looks like a planet almost, and you're supposed to shoot his eye. Those are his weak points are his eyes. And staying on there is actually a little bit difficult to manage, but if you just mash fast enough while you're there, you'll get through that phase pretty quickly. Again, the bones are all 4 damage, but hitting him, his body is 10, so you don't want that. And then if he sits on you, it's 14. Might be more, because I know these eyeballs are all 14. The skulls that drop from the ceiling are 4 damage. Everything's just high octane, high damage here. So we have level 2 blade. That doesn't really matter that much. We would rather have level 1, just so we have a little bit more range at this part. It's only 3 damage more for level 2 blade. So that's phase 3, and phase 4, we're going to use the life pot just to make sure we don't die. We're going to tank on these spikes that come out of the ground. That is 2 damage. And we go sit out his eye and wait for him to open up. And that is the end of the run. Cave Story Plus means a ton to me because it was my first speed game before Kamiko. I wasn't good at it. I never even finished a run when I was running the game, but I love the story and I love the mechanics, and I love that Pixel designed it all by himself and put his heart and soul into it. I think it'd be awesome to have it at AGDQ. I remember, Draculanter's run of original Cave Story one year, so that was awesome, but I don't think we've had it for a little while. So to have the Nintendo Switch version would be pretty awesome. And then maybe we could even SGDQ or AGDQ the year after, usher everyone into the idea of the co-op speedrun, because that has a million cool ideas that makes it an amazing and fun run in its own right. I love this game. I'd love to see it at AGDQ, and I will likely be there anyway, but we'll see. This is a great run. It'll be very entertaining. Everyone loves Cave Story. There are a couple of incentives that we could probably do. Different things that we could get, side items. I think it'd be great. I think it's a great choice. I can't wait to see everyone this January. Thank you for watching. This has been Repent, and hope to hear back from you soon. Thanks.